All right, it's been a few months since I talked about my collection last with Adam, and the collection has seen some changes, and then there are other watches that didn't make the cut. So let's talk about that. So to start off, I want to talk about the watch that did end up on my wrist, and that is the Submariner 126610 LN. The Submariner Date specifically, and it is just a beast of a watch. I absolutely love it, and thanks go out to my AD for helping secure this watch for me. Yeah, but without further ado, let's get into the watches that didn't make the cut for me. Because I didn't buy these watches and because I've only gotten a small amount of hands-on time with some of them, I want to point out that this should not be taken as a comprehensive review of any of the watches. You guys have to make your own decisions as to whether or not you actually want to purchase them. But let's talk about the first watch, and that was the Tudor Black Bay 58. I've spoken about this watch on the channel before. It's absolutely amazing. It's a really awesome watch. It's got a beautiful design. It's a total strap monster. You can wear it on any strap and it'll look good. It's very versatile and it can be dressed both up or down. And the gilt dial just looks so handsome. You know, it's got that simple time-only movement powered by the MT5402. And the aluminum bezel is nice because over time it can fade and develop a nice patina. The cons of the watch, and the reason why I didn't get it, was because in the end, date complications are pretty useful. I use my watches pretty much every day, and I like to be able to glance down on my wrist and know what date it is. So the Black Bay 58 lacking that was a bit of a deal breaker for me. Additionally, the aluminum bezel is nice for the reasons that I stated, but also it does tend to be more prone to scratching than ceramic, and I'm used to having ceramic bezels in my collection at this point, so going to aluminum for me personally just seems like a bit of a downgrade. And the Black Bay 58 is also technically inferior to the Omega Seamaster Professional 300M. It's just, I'll break that down in the next entry, but you'll see what I mean. You know, this watch has 200 meters of water resistance. It's got that aluminum bezel. It's time only. It's not META certified. There's a whole host of objective reasons why it's not as good as the 300M. And frankly, that makes it not worth the price at retail. I wouldn't pay $4,000 for it now because Tudor just raised their prices again, I believe, earlier in September. So there's that too. And the final nail in the coffin for me is the fact that the Black Pelagos FXD was recently released as well, and I would sooner get that than a Black Bay 58. All right, the next watch that I almost bought but didn't was the Omega Seamaster Diver 300M white dial version. And I saw this watch shortly after I got the black dial version. I saw it in the boutique, I tried it on, and I instantly fell in love with it. It's technically identical to the Black Dial Seamaster 300M, and the white dial just stands out a lot more, and it adds a very nice aesthetic to the watch. It's badass, it's spec'd out, it's META certified with a helium escape valve, 300 meters of water resistance, and it's anti-magnetic to up to 15,000 Gauss, so that's more than you'll ever need. This watch is also a strap monster. You can put it on any strap and it will look good. The cons of it though are that it just stands out too much. It's just way too high profile for me for everyday wear. When I dress up and when I'm in uniform, whether I dress up or when I'm in uniform, I'm always pretty low key. So this watch doesn't really fit my personality, I guess, as much as I'd like it to. And the fact that it is high profile means that you can't wear it in uniform. I'd probably get yelled at for wearing it because of just how much the white dial stands out and how conspicuous it is. And if I can't wear it in uniform, then the only times I really can wear it are in civilian clothes And that means that I then have to balance wearing that watch in between, the other watches of my collection. So in the end, it wouldn't really get that much wrist time. And when I was in the Omega boutique, trying that watch on and speaking to the sales advisor, he told me just to go straight for the Speedmaster instead, because I already have a Seamaster. That base is already covered, so it's a little bit redundant there. All right, the next watch that I didn't get is the GShock DW5600. This is a tool watch paired with a smartwatch. And let's be real, most tool watches in the modern day, especially like mechanically powered tool watches, are simply obsolete now. In most cases, if you want to take a tool watch out for its intended purpose, it's mostly because you want to and not because you have to. This watch, however, marries GShock toughness with smartwatch capabilities. You've got heart rate tracking, you've got workouts, you have sleep tracking. This is honestly, in my opinion, one of the most sensible alternatives to the current Apple Watch. And if you're not looking to get an Apple Watch and you don't really want one of those, and you're more worried about durability, this watch may be the one for you. However, the reason I didn't get it is because, frankly, I already own an Apple Watch. I had this smartwatch slot in my collection is already covered. So again, having this watch is just completely redundant. I don't need another smartwatch in my collection, and nor do I want one. Bluetooth capable watches as well have the major disadvantage of not being able to be taken into classified environments. So, if you have a mechanically powered watch, let's say you have an Omega Seamaster Diver, you can take that basically anywhere because it's not transmitting a radio signal. If you take a Bluetooth powered smartwatch into a classified environment, that could get you into a lot of trouble. So that's another reason why this watch just didn't make any sense for me. The only reason I would buy this watch is if I couldn't afford to upgrade to my Apple Watch Ultra and I didn't want to replace my current Apple Watch SE with another one. But frankly, that watch works very well for me, so I don't see any reason to get rid of it. And lastly, Russell from the Mad Watch Collector channel just completely trashed this watch too, so that doesn't really inspire a lot of confidence in me to pursue this watch. All right, the next watch that I didn't get, and you guys are going to question me because I just sung its praises in a couple videos ago, is the Cartier Santos. This watch is equally versatile, just like the Black Bay 58. I have definitely spoken positively about this watch before, and I do think it's a worthwhile addition to any collection. It's got that beautiful, quiet, luxury, unisex design that I've spoken about, and I definitely stand by that statement. It does come with a date and non-date configuration, just based on the size. The medium models, I believe, don't have a date, and then the large model does. It also comes with very interchangeable straps, and the way the bracelet is constructed is probably one of the most innovative bracelet designs out there on the market today. So that's why I really like this watch. But the reason I didn't get it is because that bezel on that Cartier Santos is an absolute scratch magnet. Owning that watch for any amount of time is the scratches are going to show for sure. And while it's not overly conspicuous, the design of the watch simply looks out of place in uniform. It's almost like trying to wear a GShock with a tuxedo. It just doesn't work at all. And frankly, my Datejust 41 that I have already kind of fits the bill as far as a dress watch is concerned. So that's kind of the reason that I didn't end up pulling the trigger on this watch. All right, this next watch comes from a micro brand, and it's the Baltic Tri Compact Panda. For those who don't know about this watch, it is the most gorgeous and most faithful looking Paul Newman Daytona homage currently available on the market. And it's just a beautiful chronograph in general. It looks really freaking good. And I'll give a quick spec breakdown for those who aren't familiar with this watch at all. The case material is 316L stainless steel. You've got a 39.5 millimeter case diameter. The lug to lug is 47 millimeters. You've got 13.5 millimeters of thickness, so this is a thick watch, but that's natural considering it's a chronograph. The lug width is 20 millimeters. The bezel is aluminum. The glass is double dome sapphire. I don't know if there's air coating on the sapphire, but I would assume there's not. The dial finish is light beige, and it's finely granulated matte. So very nice dial design. The hands and the indices are BGW9 Superluminova filled. The watch is powered by a manual wound Sellita SW510-M, and the power reserve is 63 hours. The crown is engraved and the water resistance is 50 meters. The reason I didn't get this watch is because the flat link bracelet for me is simply unattractive, and I can already hear people going off in the comments saying, why don't you just get a leather strap? That'll just solve your problem. Well, again, I'm not really a leather strap kind of guy. Leather straps wouldn't really last long the way that I treat my watches. So I would prefer to switch to a oyster style aftermarket bracelet if I was to get this watch. And that's just going to cost me extra money. So I don't believe that for me, it's worth having. The next watch that I almost got but didn't is the Panerai Submersible PAM 02973. So I tried this watch on in my authorized dealer a few weeks ago, and I gotta say, it was a freaking handsome watch. This is a badass looking watch, for sure. DJ from GBRS Group owns one of these in bronze. He owns the bronze version of this, and if his review is anything to go by, you can trust that this watch, or I can trust that this watch is going to be a tank and it will stand up to anything I put it through. Just to clarify, DJ is a Navy SEAL, and he currently works as a training consultant for a lot of organizations out there. And he doesn't treat his watches nicely at all. He freaking bangs them around and slaps them around like crazy. So if his Panerai Submersible can stand up to that kind of abuse, if I were to get one, it would be able to stand up to whatever I put it through. Because I definitely don't do as much high-speed shit as that guy. And I tried one on recently at the AD, and it fit surprisingly well for its case diameter. It's a big watch, but on my wrist, it actually looked pretty decent. Panerai's signature crown lever guard is an ingenious design, and it does solve the issue of threaded crowns wearing down over time. For any of you who have owned Omegas or any other screw down crown watch in the past for a number of years, you'll know that over time, as you continue to actuate the screw down crown, eventually those threads are going to get stripped and wear down, and that's something that you may need to pay for in servicing later on. So the crown lever guard is frankly ingenious in my opinion. But the reason I didn't get this watch at retail, at least, is because when I saw the price, I was like instantly turned off. This watch is $9,500 at retail, not including tax. That's insane. It's utterly insane for me. I just bought my Submariner, this one. I just bought my Submariner very recently, and I was not in the mood, and I didn't have the budget to pay for another watch of similar price. So yeah, there was just no way that I was going to be able to reasonably afford this watch. It just wouldn't have made sense. And the Submariner is also already a diver, so why do I want to pay an equal amount for another diver immediately after? It just, yeah, the numbers weren't adding up. The math didn't make sense. I would just rather buy, I would just rather buy another Rolex with that kind of money. And there are so many other watches that I would still buy before looking at this Panerai. For example, the Black Bay 58, which I just mentioned. I would buy that before I buy this Panerai. I would buy the US Navy Pelagos FXD. I would buy the Rolex Explorer 1. I would buy the Grand Seiko Omiwatari. The Black Bay Chronograph Panda, or the GMT Master 2. Any one of those watches, they're either in similar price ranges or they're cheaper. So there's a lot of other contenders that are in line first that I would sooner buy than this Panerai. The next watch that I got is a watch that I was looking at very early on in my journey, and it is the Tudor 1926 41mm black dial. This watch is one of the most affordable offerings from Tudor currently. It comes in at $2,150 retail without tax. And yeah, I was looking at this when I first got into luxury watches. I was looking for something to scratch the itch of a luxury watch without having to spend a lot of money right off the bat. And it's a decent everyday dress watch. It's got that 7-link bracelet that's just it's just a very unique design. But this watch did not tick a lot of boxes for me, especially when I saw it in person. The watch just doesn't fit my lifestyle. Again, it's an everyday / dress watch, and I don't dress up that often. It's somewhat versatile, but it's still just way too formal to be worn with flip-flops and shorts, which is what you'll find me in most of the time when I'm in civilian clothes. This is not a tool watch at all. I'd probably get yelled at for wearing this in camis, just like I would the white Seamaster. It's simply too formal for me to wear. And the waffle dial with Arabic numerals separated by pointed indices is just, to me, that dial is hideous. I cannot stand that dial. And when I saw this watch in person, the watch didn't do anything for me. I knew that this watch would just never work for me. So, with that being said, you couldn't even give me this watch for free. So following up that point, we're going to stick within the Rolex family and talk about a watch that is objectively amazing. And that is the Rolex SE Dweller 126600. When I was talking to my authorized dealer and considering whether or not to get the Submariner, I tried on a few watches, and one of the watches that I compared to the Submariner was the SE Dweller, this all stainless steel version with the red text on the dial. It's basically, the SE Dweller is basically what a Submariner would look like if it went to the gym and hopped on a cycle of trend. It's got 4 times the water resistance at 1,220 meters. It's got that helium escape valve, that automatic helium escape valve. It's got bezel graduations for all 60 minutes instead of only 15 for the Submariner. It's got a thicker case and a thicker sapphire glass. It has a pop-out wetsuit extension in addition to the standard glide lock. And it's got that sweet-looking red line text on the dial, which just adds so much character to the watch. And the matte black dial really minimizes that light profile compared to the glossy black dial of the Submariner. But here's the reasons why I didn't get it. 43 millimeters in case diameter and 50 plus millimeters in lug-to-lug distance is just really pushing the limit of what I can actually wear on my wrist without looking like a goofball. I tried this watch on and it did fit. Like, I can wear that, but it's really up there. And if I was 3 inches taller and maybe 20 pounds more muscular, then this watch would probably look a bit better on me. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not. It works, but barely, is what I'm saying. And at $13,250, that was simply out of my price range. I was able to afford the Submariner, and that's why I got it over the SE Dweller. And I just couldn't afford the SE Dweller. It's just too expensive. I would have gone into debt had I tried to buy that thing outright. And that's never a smart move. I never advocate for purchasing watches using debt. It's not a good thing to do. Now, the final watch is another one whose praises I have sung in the past, but that it is, my opinions on it have changed a little bit, I'll say that. And this is the Rolex Explorer 124270. Had it not been for Instagram, I probably would have never figured out about this watch. I first discovered this watch when I saw Instagram posts about it. And at the time, I didn't really pay any attention to it, but I did think it was handsome. But I saw so many cool like wrist shots on Instagram of this watch and of people wearing this. And it's crazy because I knew about the Explorer 2 before I knew what the Explorer 1 looked like. But, as a dress watch or an everyday watch, it really works. It's classic and it has decades of heritage. Viewers of Adrian Barker will know this watch very well, and you'll know how much love that he has for it. And I can totally sympathize with that. I think it's a fantastic watch. I love it too. In my opinion, I think it's probably one of the most timeless, subtle, elegant, and beautiful tool watches ever made. And there's no situation that this watch cannot be taken into. It doesn't look out of place anywhere. I'll probably get this in the future, but not right now. And the reason why is because this watch takes an extremely long time to get from an authorized dealer, at least in my experience. You guys might have different authorized dealers who you've worked with, and they might have been able to secure that watch for you more easily, but at least for my authorized dealer, I don't think that watch shows up very often. There's also an increasing amount of people that are asking for it as that watch gets more popular on social media. So more people are asking for it, so that just means that the wait list, quote unquote, for it is going to get longer. And I got my Explorer 2 first, so that eradicated basically any possibility of me being able to afford the Explorer 1 in the end. So I got the Explorer 2 first. I fell in love with that. I'd say I'm still in my honeymoon phase with that watch, so there's not really any reason for me to go out and get its little brother anytime soon. The Explorer 2 is simply a lot more practical as well. It's got the date function, and it's also got the GMT capabilities as well. So it's just a more functional tool watch. It can do more things, and it's a bit tougher in my opinion. It suits me a bit better than the Explorer 1. So that's another reason why I chose that over the first edition. Lastly, this watch has the opposite problem as the SE Dweller in that, as opposed to being the biggest watch possible, it's the absolute smallest that I could go without looking like a fool. This watch does fit on my wrist. Like, I can wear this watch and I can wear it and not look stupid, but it's like just barely so. It's the same thing, just barely so. It barely meets a standard. It barely hits the mark as far as proper sizing on my wrist goes. And the 224270, the 40mm Explorer 1, does solve this issue, but the problem with that is that the 40mm Explorer 1 is just way too similar to my Datejust in terms of its design and its looks, that there is little reason to get that watch, frankly. So with that being said, that's going to wrap this video up. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I want to implore you guys to donate to the Hawaii Salvation Army. Maui is well on its way to recovering from the wildfires, but frankly, the people of America and the people of Hawaii, we're all still going through a lot of economic turmoil, and there's a lot of people out there who have much more serious decisions to make on a daily basis than what watch they want to buy next. So I implore you to help out your fellow Americans and consider donating something to the Hawaii Salvation Army. Thank you very much. Also, if you are a fan of my content, please consider following me on Instagram @_worn-down-crown. And also, if you're looking for a watch, then consider shopping with the BEZEL app and using my code MORGANWEIBEL. All caps, no spaces, and we can split $400 when you make your first purchase. So you get $200 off your first watch, and I get $200 in BEZEL credits. So consider shopping with the BEZEL app, and I hope you guys take care. Thank you.